This is a message to the Sonic Fanbase. These are my personal gripes with the fanbase, and this should serve as a wake-up call for some considering the toxicity that has been going on for a long time. It's crazy how many Sonic fans find it's okay to attack and demean Sonic Team, whether it be calling the developers lazy, asking for Sonic Team to go into rehab, asking for Sonic Team to be fired, making fun of Iizuka, whether it be insults or attacking his appearance, or insulting Morio Kishimoto. Takashi Iizuka has been treated as if he's some mustache twirling villain, and is constantly villainized by the fanbase. He can't even say Sonic Adventure 2 is his favorite Sonic game without certain individuals complaining, despite him directing and designing Sonic Adventure 2. It shocks me how fast people were to dismiss and villainize his interviews. In one of his interviews, Iizuka says,
"We do realize everyone is just kind of reacting to the videos that they saw. And because they don't understand what this new gameplay is, they're kind of comparing it to other games that they already know. So we do see a lot of people saying, oh, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like that, but it's not like this, it's not like that."
everything he just said is exactly what happened in June. Many people saw the IGN showcase and immediately acted as if it was Sonic Forces in an open world, when there was multiple evidence against it, including the fact that he could actually turn well, move around in a circle, and we got brief snippets of combat beforehand. There was nothing suggesting this except the fact that he had a similar model to the one present in Sonic Forces. People were making some heavy assumptions like how the side loop was going to be automated. People like Sam Procrastinations were already saying how the Werehog combat looked better, despite the lack of combat information shown. When you make opinions prior to something being shown, when you're proven wrong, don't just respond that you're not psychic because you're the one who was jumping the gun. I know this fanbase is tired of toxic positivity, but nobody's really bringing up the toxic cynicism. I remember in June, I was talking about how I really liked the purple and cyan aesthetic shown in the IGN showcase. I was told to stop coping even though that wasn't even relevant to the topic. People were apparently doxxed for enjoying what they saw during the IGN showcase, and that's really unfortunate and that shouldn't be happening in the fanbase. The amount of people asking for Sonic Team and Kishimoto and Iizuka to be fired was staggering. Even when it was confirmed to be a beta build, there were still people telling others that they were coping, some even adopting the phrase hopium copium. So it comes to my full surprise when I see things like this.
Better, to make it flow better. This is why we critique, and this is why we say what we want for the series to be better, because guess what? They listened and they've changed some stuff, most likely based on the feedback they got late last year, early this year, because, you know...
This is why we critique. He's acting as if his criticisms are the reason the game looks better, when we didn't see any gameplay until June, and the only critiques prior would be based on a CGI trailer that showed a few landscapes, and another teaser that was around 2020. Weren't these the same people saying 6 months wasn't enough time to fix the game, despite it already being stated to be an early build? Acting as if your critiques had any bearing seems to be taking credit for anything positive shown throughout. Your criticisms of an early build of the game has nothing to do with how the game looks better. This isn't even the first time this has happened throughout the fanbase, considering fans like to take credit for Mania as a collective whole. The only criticisms Sonic Team would have taken to mind were the ones people had with Sonic Forces or previous Sonic games. Iizuka has been working on the series since Sonic 3 and Knuckles. He's advocated for Sonic Team and the team behind Sonic Mania. People are so quick to blame Iizuka for things that aren't even in his control. It's clear they have no understanding of how executive meddling works and how rushed Sonic games are. Tells me a lot that Stealth has to clarify that Takashi Iizuka and most of Sega of America were pleasant to deal with. Also, something to consider, you guys express empathy for Headcanon and Stealth, but not Sonic Team, the devs who were also rushed while developing several other projects. I think the Kishimoto hate is even worse. From the insults to the purposeful mispronunciations of his name, clickbait thumbnails, etc. It's insane how many Sonic fans partake in this toxicity. No wonder Sonic fans are considered one of the most toxic fan bases on the internet. Many people have insulted his work as a director, but I honestly feel like he's a pretty good one. He first joined Sonic Team in 2005 and worked on Sonic and the Secret Rings. He worked on another storybook game known as Sonic and the Black Knight before finally getting his chance to work on a more mainline game known as Sonic Colors. Despite what nostalgic Dark Age fans will try to tell you, Sonic Colors was well received at the time and brought a short-lived renaissance period to Sonic. It's clear Kishimoto is a pretty talented person considering the unique ideas he brings to the table. Something I noticed while making this video was prior to Forces, all Kishimoto's Sonic games were made for a Nintendo console, which I find pretty neat. Many people like to bash his directing ability due to Forces, but many people don't realize that Sonic Team were working on the Hedgehog Engine 2 for the majority of the development and had to restart development in 2015 or 2016, which explains why the game is so rushed. I think the decision to focus on Hedgehog Engine 2 paid off considering how Sonic Forces is the best looking game in the mainline series, and it's being utilized in other releases like Sakura Wars and Sonic Frontiers. People like the Great Lange are great examples of why I made this video. I already disliked Mr. Lange due to him attacking other 3D Sonic fan game creators on Sonic Retro a while back, but his Twitter threads on Sonic Frontiers puts the ego in egotistical. He calls every game after SA2 travesties and calls Sonic Team lazy for developing the boost. He tries to act as if people's problem with Forces were due to there being a lot of tasks, despite that never being the issue and only a way to tie back to his flawed argument, and more of a reason to stroke his ego and praise his fan game. In fact, most of people's problems was the game's short length, and how the levels ended so abruptly. He tries to define Sonic as only pinball physics, despite that never being the core of Sonic, as Sonic's fundamental gameplay structure was defined as reaching the goal quickly. The pinball-esque physics were only a tool to achieve that, such as how the boost was also a way to achieve this. Sonic's evolved past the need for a sole focus on momentum, and games like Sonic Generations prove this. Though I'm pretty sure the Great Lange hates the boost games as well, so this probably doesn't count for him. Even the highly praised Sonic Rush handheld games deviated from this ideal. There's still traces of momentum in later titles anyways, it's just not the main focus, which is fine. Imagine if Mario was stuck in his 2D roots and the transition to 3D. We would never see the unique or interesting ideas seen in later titles like Galaxy and Odyssey. Frontiers provides something new and unique, not really present in fan games or similar Sonic games. I heavily enjoy certain Sonic fan games and mods. I'm even using them in the video. But I really dislike when people weaponize fan games or mods against Sonic Team. It undermines the work of the fan game creator and Sonic Team. This usually leaves the fan game maker with baseless praise like better than Sonic Team without providing any merits of its own. It's worse when you just port a level or character model and there's 1,000 comments about how you're better than Sonic Team. Many fan game creators and modders dislike when people do this because it helps nobody but fuel pathetic arguments on what Sonic should be. Despite what some Sonic fans say, Sonic was never in danger of obscurity or lack of relevance prior to the live action films. He had DLC for LEGO Dimensions in 2016, had a long running comic series, and now has an IDW comic series, had multiple Mario and Sonic games, appeared in Super Smash Bros. 4 and Ultimate. His mobile games were relative hits, with Sonic Dash featuring crossovers with the likes of Pac-Man himself. Sonic Mania brought in a lot of old fans and some new fans, and Sonic Forces succeeded in getting new fans into the series. It sold pretty well apparently too. I know saying anything positive about Sonic Forces will get some fans angry, but I've probably already got them angry at this point, so it doesn't really matter. Things like this makes me question the fanbase as a whole. The real hypocrisy is acting as if Sonic Team should take their time with releases, but then complain because there's not as many games as there was in the 2000s. Despite it being common knowledge, game development takes longer than it did 10 years ago, for very obvious reasons. At the end of the day, we're all Sonic fans. Well, at least I think we are. We as a community need to do better. Not the most coherent ending ever into a video, but I think it will do for now. I hope I made some strong arguments. My channel will mostly be focused on reviews, but this was a topic I was really passionate about. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of January. Anyways, it's Blur Bits signing out.